In this presentation, I will be discussing the assessment of reading for English language learners. I will explain some effective ways you can use to make sure your students are progressing at the appropriate speed and not falling behind. Teachers should be wary of quick and easy skill-based commercial reading assessments that claim to give accurate measures of students' reading ability in a short time. There is no silver bullet in learning to read a new language. It will take time. Summative assessments are not a good way to monitor reading progress for English language learners. The tests are spread out too far apart and the results take too long to get back to the teacher. Assessments need to be done on a regular basis. Formative assessments are the best way to monitor your students' progress in reading. There are many examples of formative assessments, and in this presentation we will go over concept of print checklists, running records, self-assessment checklists. ELLs come from a wide range of backgrounds. While the concept of print checklists might seem too simple for some, there are some ELLs who have had little or no formal education. These skills need to be assessed for anyone at the emergent level of reading. Here's a concept of print checklist. You can use this to evaluate some basic skills such as holding the book correctly, recognizing the front and back of the book, identifying title, title page, differentiation between words and spaces, among other basic skills. Here are some examples of prompts that you can use to help evaluate the student's concept of print. Have the students read the story aloud, then ask these questions and record the word or actions the child uses to answer. This will help assess to know if they know the concepts. Running records are a great way to get an in-depth assessment of students' reading performance. The teacher will be able to identify the types of errors students are making and evaluate their own methods to decide the best path forward for the student. When scoring running records, a teacher will use a series of specialized marks on the recording sheet. These marks will indicate the correct words as well as any errors that the student made during the reading. This will make it easy for the teacher to go back and record the score. Once the running record is completed, the teacher will calculate the student's accuracy and score the student's performance. 95 and above means it was too easy. 90 through 94 means it's at the student's instruction level. 89 and below is at the frustration level. After the student reads, the teacher will ask comprehension questions to ask the student to retell the story. This will reveal whether the student understood what they were reading or if they were just reading a list of words without comprehension. There are many different ways a student can work on building their comprehension. One great way for an ELL student is to work in small groups. Having the opportunity to communicate with their peers will help with comprehension as well as strengthen language skills. The books chosen has to be at the proper level in order to challenge students, but not too challenging that they become frustrated. It's important to choose books that will be at the instructional level for students. That's where they will gain the most knowledge and skill. Another assessment to use will be student self-assessment. Students can keep track of their own use of strategies and assess the ability to stay on task. It's a great tool to use when students are tasked with independent reading. Here's a rubric that students can use to evaluate their performance while reading. After they complete their reading, they can look at the rubric, simply check off how they feel they did in different areas, and it'll help them stay on the right track. Literacy instruction and ELLs have identified problems associated with skill-based instructional approaches that lack emphasis in reading for meaning. Reading is arguably the most important skill for ELL students, and the balance of reading skill and meaning is important for success. English language learners need balanced literacy instruction that provide greater emphasis on actual reading of authentic texts. We need to engage students in meaningful literary and informational texts of increased complexity. Extensive reading and meaningful text allows students to acquire knowledge and skills such as new vocabulary and language skills naturally with scaffolding from teachers. The BDA provides a framework to support students' development before, during, and after reading. An ELL's progression through reading levels is affected by their age, English proficiency, and home language literacy skills. Word study and interactive vocabulary meaning lessons are also an effective way to maximize student learning of new vocabulary. To summarize, using formative assessment is the best way to monitor your students' reading progress. Use checklists to help your students stay on task. Running records is a great assessment to evaluate students and make sure that you're balancing skills and meaning.